Hello, bonjour tout le monde. J'espère que vous allez bien. Anyway, I hope you're well. Thanks for looking in on my YouTube. I'm 71. I've seen a lot of changes over my lifetime, massive. And I've grown up in France and in the UK as a result of having a British dad who fought in the World War II. He was in the RAF, and my mother is French, and they met in Birmingham. My mum was working in the consulate at the time, and later she taught French in schools, and then she worked in the French embassy in the commercial section, where they assisted French companies to sell their products and to buy British companies, really, quite successfully. And I think that how life has changed incredibly since I was young. Whilst I was growing up, the UN seemed to be stronger and more able to enforce peace in the world. And I'm really saddened that the UN doesn't seem as powerful as it used to be, not only in peacekeeping, but making sure that everybody takes their fair share of refugees. And I think there's been, whilst I was growing up, that some of my contemporaries were incredibly proud to be British, and they used to say, "Oh, we have the very best cars in the world, oh, ho, ho, and we are the best, we are superior." And in a way, we were at primary school, the British Empire was still spoken about, and how things have changed. All these people that go around with flags and saying, keep out of our country. Well, I've got a message for you that over the years, on the main companies, on the boards of the main companies and the shareholders, they've sold their shares to multinational companies, and there are hardly any British companies left, really. Incredible. And even the French government, nationalised companies, are running certain companies in this country. Incredible, isn't it? So one of the rear of a car was very British when I was growing up. Excellent car, this, by the way. Still, if you got one of these, performs as good as these modern cars. But the Land Rovers now are owned by an Indian company. Tata Steel and people like that run these great big huge SUV. They've been making them for us. If you go shopping in London, our very famous department stores, many of them now are no longer British run. They're owned by multi-companies, multinational. Harvey Nichols in London is run by Hong Kong Chinese. There we go. House of Fraser, I mean, it's so British, isn't it? House of Fraser is now run by a Chinese company. Waterstones, lovely books, owned by an American company. Hamleys, oh, do we love the British store of Hamleys Toys in London, world famous, now owned by a Chinese multinational company. French have moved in on the wines and spirits and things like that. Beefeater Gin is owned by the people that make Pernod. Glenmorangie, owned by another French company. This Scotch is now owned by a French company. Ballantine's, owned by a French company. Cadbury's have been taken over by a USA multinational. Lee and Perrins, the famous Worcester sauce that you bung in your tomato, now run by an American company. Newcastle Brown, owned by Heineken, Danish company. Hartley's Jam, British Jam, owned by USA. Sarson's Vinegar that we put on our fish and chips is owned by a Japanese company. Jaffa Cakes, oh, I've got the wrong one there. Sorry, Jaffa Cakes McVitie's have been bought out by a Turkish company. Amazing, isn't it? Branston Pickle, Oh, very British, isn't it? Japanese. Weetabix. Who would imagine that Weetabix are being bought out by a Chinese company? Walker's Chris, bought out by an American company. Financial Times, very top newspaper, owned by a Japanese company. The National Lottery, the British National Lottery, is run by a Canadian company. And the buses in London, many of them until recently, were RATP. And if you look at that symbol, that's a regional transport of Paris, and that's a symbol of Paris. They're run by a nationalised French transport company in London. And EDF are Électricité de France. They run huge areas of provide electricity to huge areas. And 6 of our prisons are run by a French private company. You know, the boards of the British boards throughout the UK have capitulated to these big national monies. They've said, yeah, we'll have the money and we'll run. So, you know, the world now is multinational. And I really wish the UN would become a bit more powerful like it used to be. Sadly, one of my French friends was a peacekeeper in the Middle East, and he was killed. I mean, I grew up with Antoine, and he was killed as a result of the fighting in the Middle East in 1983. And you know, I'd known him since my childhood, and he was a young French lieutenant in the French army who were peacekeeping in the Middle East. And you know, that kind of peacekeeping task is gone. But, you know, all these wars throughout the world are just awful, and I personally think Brexit was a huge mistake. Well, we could manage without you, but the world should be about cooperating with each other. Okay? Anyway, all the very best, and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.